Plankton's been beefing with Mr. Krabs for basically his entire life, and on paper, it's all about one thing, the Krabby Patty formula. But when you zoom out, you can see how many schemes this man has tried. We've had magic tricks, espionage missions, weird team-ups, and even the occasional bit of family drama on both sides. So, after a while, everything blurs together and gets weirdly hard to tell which disasters were 100% Plankton's fault and which ones were just him getting dunked on by greedy Krabs himself. Because if you actually go episode by episode, case by case, a lot of these aren't black and white. Sometimes it's genuinely gray, and sometimes we're on Plankton's side. So, of course, there's no better place to begin than the easiest, most brain-dead example of all, one-course meal. We kick things off with Plankton doing the routine. He dive bombs the Krusty Krab and manages to get the place on lockdown. He corners Mr. Krabs and starts interrogating him and SpongeBob for the formula. Eventually, SpongeBob panics and blurts it out.
But I don't know how to get into the safe behind the painting in Mr. Krabs' office that houses the secret formula.
But just when Plankton is about to claim his easy victory, Pearl walks in and suddenly forces some Vietnam flashback within him. Because apparently, Plankton is terrified of whales? And yes, I know, in a lot of other episodes, he's been around Pearl and lived to tell the tale. But in this episode, the writers go, nope, new lore drop. Plankton has whale trauma now, which, honestly, kinda terrifying. This is one of those moments where I don't even care about the plot formula anymore. Like, if this tiny guy's entire bloodline has been living under the threat of ocean genocide, I have questions. Speaking of rivalries that last way too long, I've been playing this game non-stop. I'm not joking, because this game just launched a crossover event with another legendary gaming franchise. And what's crazy is that if you download through my link or scan the QR code and log in for 7 days, you can take part in the limited time event and unlock an exclusive legendary champion inspired by that franchise. Okay, now of course I'm talking about Raid Shadow Legends. And new players, get this, Ultimate Death Knight is back. You can get him for free with promo code UDKING, but again, only if you're a new player. I mean, what's not to love about this guy? He basically takes hits for your team, redirects single target stuff onto himself, heals when enemies get healed, which is petty in the best way, and he can shield and heal your whole squad with Get Comfy Everyone. How cool is that? Speaking of Raid, their team building system is no joke. You can play it casually, but if you're the type who likes optimizing a squad and watching it actually work, the game rewards that. But make sure to only click my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen, because these bonuses only count if you download through my link or QR code. You'll instantly unlock a starter pack with the legendary Karato Foxhunter, and when you reach level 15, you'll get the epic Tagoar. Plus, new players can pick one of 5 promo codes for a free legendary: TREEHUGGER, GETALICE, KITTYCUT, MONKEYKING, or of course, my tanky boy, UDKING. If you want my recommendation, because he's the safest start and he'll carry you through a lot of early game pain. An important note, these champs show up about 48 hours after you download through my link or QR, so don't just grab it straight from the App Store and then wonder why the loot goblin didn't show up. Alright, back to the Krusty Krab kitchen. So, Krabs finds out about the whale fear, and instead of digging for more information about it like I'd hoped, he simply sees a weakness. Krabs gets Pearl involved at first, having her pop up from the trash to scare Plankton, but then the plot quickly takes a massive turn because Krabs doesn't stop with Pearl scares him sometimes. Ha, nope. He decided it was the perfect time to trigger Plankton's PTSD for good. So Krabs starts disguising himself as Pearl to personally terrorize Plankton. Plankton goes home and tells Karen what's happening, but sadly, Karen basically tells him it was another one of his skill issues. At this point, I was kinda hoping it was one of Plankton's tricks to lull Krabs into some false sense of security, which I'll be talking more about soon. But the episode didn't give us any of that, because now the time jump happens. The episode says that Krabs has kept this going for 16 days. 16! Plankton starts losing it. I mean, anyone would at that point. He can't sleep without nightmares of being eaten alive. And I can't stress this enough, the show isn't portraying the whole thing as Plankton's evil finally caught up with him. It's simply Krabs abusing Plankton's phobia to a ridiculous extent. So Plankton finally does the most dreadful thing this show has ever done. He goes to the road, he waits for the bus to end it all. The episode has crossed the line so hard, it trips over its own shoelaces. But luckily, SpongeBob finds him and tries to stop him, just like he's supposed to. However, Plankton's already given up. He begs SpongeBob, "Just step on me, do it, please!" And SpongeBob refuses because he still has a soul, unlike the writers. He's even willing to approach Krabs to try to talk things out. But then Krabs walks up and goes,
"Did you disclose the location of me safe?"
And that is the final nail in the coffin. Now we're officially on Plankton's side on this one. Krabs doesn't even feel guilty. SpongeBob came here to talk to him about being too harsh to his old friend. And yet, Krabs only cares about the recipe and is too cowardly to clean it up by himself. So SpongeBob tries to comfort Plankton and provide the justice that we all want for this episode. He tells Plankton that Krabs has a secret fear of mimes. Yes, mimes, as in the French mute guys. And I never thought I'd say this, but I have never been so happy to see Plankton and his evil laugh more than this moment. He holds Krabs with a robotic claw and starts torturing him with mimes. Absolutely loving it. And you know what? In a normal SpongeBob episode, this would be the end. Plankton gets his petty revenge, Krabs learns a lesson, everyone resets to default in the next episode like nothing happened. But One Course Meal can't even let Plankton have that. Because just as Plankton is finally getting payback, a pod of actual whales shows up. Well, it's only a projection, but it doesn't matter. Plankton is still going to be traumatized for a long time. This is the easiest case to show that we could be on Plankton's side too. For once, Plankton isn't the one taking it too far with this trick. Mr. Krabs is. However, after One Course Meal, you'd think Mr. Krabs and Plankton would never be spoken of in the same sentence again, unless it's about a restraining order. But SpongeBob has this recurring habit of putting them on the same side, usually because Bikini Bottom invents a brand new problem that threatens both of their businesses at once. And the moment they share an enemy, it gets dangerously easy to root for them. In Best Frenemies, Krabs realizes the Krusty Krab's profits are down, and it turns out nobody's ordering drinks anymore because everyone's obsessed with this new trend, the kelp shake. Krabs being Krabs just bans outside drinks, which immediately backfires because customers just leave without paying. But while Krabs is busy complaining, the kelp shake chain is exploding right next door. So of course, Krabs assumes Plankton is behind it, but Plankton claims he wasn't even aware of the craze. So they do the unthinkable. They agree the kelp shake chain is going to run both of them out of business, and they team up to steal a shake to figure out what's inside. They fail a bunch of times, until SpongeBob suggests the most humiliating solution possible. Just buy one. And with Plankton basically forcing the issue, Krabs actually does it. Which is really ironic, because Krabs won't let Plankton buy a Krabby Patty even once. Ever. So I know what's going on in his head right now. Anyway, they buy one and take it to the chum bucket. Karen analyzes it, and it's got two ingredients. One is kelp juice, and the other is the uh-oh ingredient. But they don't care and start chugging the kelp shake anyway, despite Karen warning them about the dangerous other ingredient. By the time they're about to get a second bottle, the episode already starts with the body horror. The kelp shake gets exposed as toxic, the restaurant gets shut down, and SpongeBob shows up with this weird green fuzz growing all over him. Krabs and Plankton end up getting the fuzz too, and the funniest part is they basically go, well, and immediately revert back to their natural habitat, chasing each other around like it's their version of cardio. See, it's really nice to see them doing rivalry bits without really getting into the unaliving stuff. Whereas the episode The Other Patty is basically the same idea, just with burgers instead of kelp shakes for the plot. It starts with Plankton trying to steal the formula again, but Krabs has a new type of security. If a Krabby Patty goes more than 10 feet from the Krusty Krab, it explodes. SpongeBob's annoyed because they can't cooperate, even though they were best pals back in the day. Then another problem appears. A new competitor called the Flabby Patty Shack, which people are already lining up for. I'm not gonna lie, something not related to food popped into my head when I heard Flabby Patty for the first time. But anyway, Krabs and Plankton both try to steal the Flabby Patty recipe separately, fail repeatedly, and after they hit the fine whatever wall, SpongeBob convinces them to cooperate and basically do the whole best frenemies bit again. They disguise themselves as job applicants, get hired, and their first assignment is literally to memorize the recipe, which sounds really suspicious already. And right when they finally manage to work together and read it, the recipe turns out to be a recipe for friendship. And the owner reveals the whole restaurant was SpongeBob's setup to teach them cooperation. Again, the reason we're rooting for them here is super simple. It's the shared enemy effect. And it shows us that Plankton might be a more likable character if he had more screen time being friendly with Krabs. After watching Krabs and Plankton briefly become a buddy cop duo, it's hard not to notice something. Plankton might be better off not chasing the Krabby Patty recipe, because as he proved time and time again, he could get dangerously close to success. Like, I'm talking about Chum Bucket Supreme. I'm surprised Plankton never thought, maybe I should advertise. So he hires Patrick, basically as his slogan guy, and Patrick turns a complicated sign into the iconic, brain-dead version, Chum is Fum.
Chum is fun!
And it magically works? People of Bikini Bottom actually come in. Not because the food tastes great or anything, just because you should get chum because it's fun, right? Finally, Plankton's trying to win customers the normal way, and he's basically printing money until Patrick resigns just as quickly because he's burned out from all the brainstorming sessions, and because he accidentally trash talks all the customers over the speakers.
Customers, they're buffoons, morons. They'll buy anything I sell them.
And then there's other ones like Chum Caverns, which might be his best non-formula pivot ever. It starts with some stupid plan to dig a tunnel underneath the Krusty Krab, and Plankton ends up falling into this gorgeous underground cavern. He gets this awesome plan to turn it into a themed restaurant attraction. The caverns become the selling point. People show up for the scenery even though the food still sucks. There's even a whole gift shop inside of it. Yeah, it's basically some kind of Disneyland now. And naturally, Krabs can't handle seeing Plankton succeed, even for 5 minutes. So he goes down there to poach customers and it turns into an escalating drilling project. What makes this episode put me on his side is that Plankton's plan is actually brilliant. It's the closest he gets to understanding tourism and ambiance instead of just chasing good food. He should have been doing it ages ago. Now, Chum Fricassee is actually another good example of Plankton chasing good food other than the Krabby Patty. It's also one of my better picks for Season 8. Plankton accidentally becomes a competent owner by doing one simple thing: hiring someone who can actually cook, which, surprisingly, is Squidward. Because of some beef with Krabs earlier in the day, Squidward quits the Krusty Krab, joins the Chum Bucket, and manages to turn chum into a fancy signature dish. The place gets rebranded into Le Chum Bucket and becomes popular enough to empty the Krusty Krab. Yeah, I've said it a few times in my previous video. I wish we had more plots like this one in the modern seasons, rather than just continuing to ramp up the whole Krabby Patty recipe heist. It's fun to see Plankton competing with Krabs in a genuine way, and by hijacking Krusty Krab's ex-cashier, he might just solve 2 big problems at once. Well, I was hoping the episode would end in Plankton's favor after seeing Krabs crying in shambles. But the universe still found a way to crush Plankton's hope by introducing Squidward's grandma.
Grandma, someone's been cooking my recipe, and they're doing it wrong.
Who basically says that Squidward is using her secret recipe wrong by undercooking the chum. Needless to say, Mr. Krabs gets all of his customers back at the end. Still, pretty fun ride. However, I'm not saying that every episode like this is good by default. Greasy Buffoons is the gross little gremlin cousin of this theme, but it still fits in my opinion. The basic setup is that Krabs dumps old kitchen grease behind the chum bucket, and Plankton tries to put it in his food, and people like it for some reason. Krabs confronts Plankton to get an answer, but once he knows the secret ingredient is just old grease, he starts to put it on his patties too. Then everything spirals into a greasy arms race where both of them try to make their food more addictive with more and more grease. By the end, Krusty Krab is just serving pure sizzling grease on a paper plate. Yikes. You don't have to see this as Plankton is morally right, because he clearly isn't. But it does reinforce the point Plankton's most successful moments are when he stops obsessing over the formula and competes with something else, even if that something else is basically a war crime for the arteries. However, as disgusting as the whole grease plot is, the easiest times to root for Plankton aren't even about Krabs. It's when the show lets him have a life for 11 minutes, and you realize, against your will, he's kind of an endearing organism. And you know what? The season 15 episode, Who's Afraid of Mr. Snippers, is actually a good pick to explain my point here. One day, Plankton is in the chum bucket with Karen, waiting for a bubble to pop in his chum because they haven't had a customer in months. Then a trenchcoat guy walks in and Plankton's like, "No way, a customer!" Well, the customer reveals himself to be Squidward, who's not there to eat, he just wants a quiet place to finish writing his stage play.
I needed a nice, quiet place that's completely devoid of life to finish writing my stage play.
Squidward's play is about a handsome man struggling against his evil employer named Mr. Snippers. But he just can't seem to figure out the ending. Coincidentally, Plankton says he's also writing a play about an angry crab who torments an innocent shopkeeper, and he only has the ending. So, basically, Squidward and Plankton independently invented Crab Sucks fanfiction. Then they sneeze at the same time, and their pages magically combine into one script, so they decide to work together. Karen ends up directing because, of course she does, she's the most capable of this lot, and she casts SpongeBob as Mr. Snippers because he has this mimicking talent as he showed us in Mimic Madness way back in season 10.
Oh, okay now, everybody, settle down. Time to eat your patties.
Opening night comes, everyone starts showing up, including Krabs with a free ticket. But, of course, it can't be a modern episode without lots and lots of punching bits. Somehow, they managed to turn the whole show into a stage fight that the audience loves. And the cherry on top, Krabs hijacks the ending by inviting everyone to an after party at the Krusty Krab and forces Squidward to work the register. Yeah, it ends pretty abruptly, I'm not gonna lie. Still, it's a good case of Plankton just enjoying his creative side with Squidward, which technically still encourages us to side with Plankton. Oh, you know what? Maybe a good choice is something like Plankton's pet. This episode starts with Plankton pulling one of the most diabolical schemes, disguising himself as a baby to steal a Krabby Patty. And hey, he almost succeeded until Mr. Krabs sees him through the periscope and just starts beating the brakes off the baby in public, which makes everyone in the Krusty Krab think Krabs is committing a felony assault, until he rips the head off and realizes it's a robot baby with Plankton inside. And even then, after Plankton gets launched back to the chum bucket like yesterday's trash, Plankton doesn't go with his staple, "I'll get you next time." He just breaks down in tears. He tells Karen the Krabby Patty obsession is wearing him down, and Karen does something wild for this show. She gives him actual advice to get a new hobby. And that's where the episode flips to us watching the saddest little micro man go to an animal shelter and try to find something that'll like him back. He ends up choosing an amoeba that saves his life from a long-tongued monster. Then we get to see Plankton trying to get his unconditional love from Spot, teaching Spot tricks, taking him on a walk, playing fetch, all the normal pet owner stuff. Yeah, this is one of the rare times Plankton is genuinely nurturing, and it actually works until it doesn't. In the end, Plankton still uses Spot to steal a Krabby Patty, retrieve a Krabby Patty. But the good boy Spot actually makes it in one attempt. Wow! Unfortunately, Spot immediately eats it in one bite, not long after. Of course, Plankton freaks out right after, ties Spot to a mailbox as punishment, then immediately feels guilty and runs back out to apologize, only for Spot to be gone. Now he's panicking. He and SpongeBob go searching, and somehow SpongeBob hits the wrong switch and unleashes every creature to hunt them down, all for the punchline that Spot was on Plankton's eye the entire time. Then Spot grows huge to scare off the other animals, and Plankton straight up apologizes and decides he's keeping him. You know what? People said this is an overrated episode, but I still think it's a heartwarming episode for Plankton. But what better heartwarming plot that we loved for Plankton other than his romance subplot with Karen? After all, they're the only canon couple in this universe. Single Cell Anniversary is clearly one of the best when it comes to the Plankton tries to romance Karen episodes. Plankton shows up to the chum bucket smelling like failure, and Karen is in a good mood until she smells him and gives him a bath. Then she reveals it's their anniversary. But here's the wild part. Karen already got Plankton the Krabby Patty's secret formula as his gift, but she refuses to hand it over until he gets her a gift from the heart. Before Plankton panics, SpongeBob shows up out of nowhere and declares a love emergency situation. He decides to coach Plankton into doing a song titled Oh My Karen, which performs as great as you'd think.
Oh my Karen, oh my Karen, oh my computer wife Karen.
Of course, Karen cries tears of joy and starts uploading the formula, but ends up short-circuiting because of her own crying. Then the emergency mother-in-law program boots up and starts roasting Plankton's entire existence. Well, as petty as the ending is, it's still funny to see Plankton as a husband trying so hard to hold on to the only good things in his life. Other than that, Karen virus is also one of my better picks. Karen gets a virus after hanging out with a sick computer and pretty much acts like a drunk person. Plankton recruits SpongeBob for some reason because he needs someone stupid enough to help, I guess, and launches Operation Save Karen, sending SpongeBob inside her via injecting him through the infused tube to fight the virus. The journey is harsh and buggy, to say the least. While SpongeBob tries to deal with the virus, Karen goes on a rampage, destroying everything in front of her, which is the Krusty Krab. Inside Karen, SpongeBob gets saved by Ideal Plankton, which is basically how Karen pictures Plankton in her own head, who is, doing a lot of heavy lifting for the they actually love each other argument. But hey, Ideal Plankton is willing to help SpongeBob carry out the mission even if it means sacrificing his own life in the process.
Okay, your turn.
It's up to you, SpongeBob! You must save Karen!
What a guy. Eventually, SpongeBob defeats the virus by feeding it a Krabby Patty because apparently malware also gets hungry. Yeah, I don't know. It's a classic bit to fight any monster with Krabby Patties in this show, okay? But hey, we get one of the sweetest lines Karen could ever say to Plankton as the closer.
Baby, you're all right.
Nope, I'm still delirious. But I like it!
Weird, but you do you, Karen. But the type of episode I was expecting the least from Karen and Plankton's relationship was definitely a parents chapter. The episode Karen Baby starts with Karen being excited because her baby is arriving in the mail. Plankton is immediately horrified because he did not consent to this. I mean, obviously he's not happy and tries to stop the delivery. But the baby arrives anyway. Karen names him Chip, and then this kid speeds up life stages by simply updating firmware. Baby calculator, toddler, teen, walking payment terminal, the whole thing. Now, throughout this plot, we see Plankton as the classic dad who didn't want a kid at first, ignoring him, not wanting anything to do with raising Chip, until Karen forces him to actually talk to Chip after Chip mouths off and storms out. Plankton, in a galaxy brain parenting moment, tells Chip to run away. And of course, that goes badly because Chip immediately runs into a robot gang that tries to steal his pants. Plankton jumps in to help, only to be the one who ends up needing help. I don't know about you, It's really, really heartwarming to see someone standing up for Plankton just because they care for him. He's not just some loner who doesn't have anyone to rely on, even if that family is another one of his inventions. After Chip saves Plankton, they return home to Karen, who's crying tears of joy, and by the end, Chip grows up into an ATM, working a good job at a bank, and they're both ridiculously proud. It's a chaotic plot in itself, but a welcomed one. It's also one of the only times Plankton gets portrayed as someone who can actually grow into a responsibility, even if he trips into it face first. You see, so far, siding with Plankton has been easy, or he has an obvious reason for you to get on his side. But now we're getting into the messy ones, because more often than not, he's not fully a villain nor a victim either. The motive itself mostly makes sense, but the method is questionable. First up, there's Grandmom's the Word. Plankton gets a call from his grandma, and it turns out he promised he'd own the Krusty Krab by her 90th birthday, which is literally tomorrow. So, out of desperation, he lies on the spot, then ropes SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs into helping him keep the lie alive. And Krabs, he's surprisingly willing to help because he said he has a grandma too. Look, he even got her tattoo on his hairy chest. On one hand, it's honestly kind of charming in a pathetic way. He's not trying to steal the formula here, the man just does not want to disappoint his grandma. The Krusty Krab gets permission to get a sweet 90 birthday makeover, which I'm assuming Plankton paid for, and he's basically just playing restaurant owner for a day. On the other hand, he's still lying, still forcing everyone into a scheme, and the episode proves why nobody trusts anything small and green. Because Grandma Lily suddenly asks for a photo with the secret formula, then hits the surprise villain button, jetpacks away with it, and Plankton didn't even know she was going to do that. The scheme runs in the blood, after all. Well, at least we get a happy ending with this one. Because Grandma is so old, she fell asleep right after arriving back at Shady Shoals, and it's an easy job to swap the recipe for a prune juice. Plankton even helps Krabs to get it, and he didn't come up with another scheme afterwards. He's a good son in this episode, all in all. Then you've got some old classics like Plankton's Army. One day, Krabs announces it's the 25th anniversary of Plankton trying to steal the formula, which Plankton celebrates with a robot trick, which also flops, goes home, and rambles some stuff about his current condition. Karen basically tells him what everyone has been thinking since season 1. Stop doing this alone. Get help. So he calls in his hillbilly cousins. From this conversation alone, you can actually root for him a little because it's the first time his plan is about a tiny dude with a family name that gets stepped on daily, and he just wants to build something with his people. It's almost a community movement. Criminal community movement, but still. On the other hand, they storm the Krusty Krab, trap Krabs and Squidward in a restroom, crack the safe, and Plankton finally reads the formula, only to discover the secret ingredient is basically him. So the episode gives him a win, then immediately punishes him again with horror, which is, yeah, you deserved it, but that is still insane. Then Plankton's regular is the ultimate 50-50 episode because it tricks you the same way it tricks Plankton. A customer named Nat walks into the empty chum bucket and asks for a chum stick.
Sorry, I just wanted a chum stick.
Plankton is shocked, but serves him anyway. Nat says it's amazing and promises he'll come back tomorrow. Plankton waits all day like a dog waiting for his owner to come, and Nat eventually returns, making him think he has his first real customer. Krabs finds out and goes into a total panic. Oh, that's kind of a theme in this video, isn't it? Krabs can't ever let Plankton get anything, huh? Shows you who's really jealous in this rivalry. Anyway, he can't tolerate Plankton having even one customer and starts trying to convert Nat, and when that fails, he decides the solution is to steal Plankton's chum recipe. So, Krabs is being petty and gross. But then the twist hits. Nat actually hates the chum like normal people. This whole regular customer is a paid actor. Karen has been bribing him to eat there just so Plankton would stop complaining about having 0 customers. And Nat is apparently getting his stomach pumped because of it. So nobody wins. Plankton's dream was fake, Krabs was still a control freak, and Karen's a liar. However, you know it's not. We're on Plankton's side, unless we're talking about the moment he pulled his few sleazy tricks on us. Because frustratingly, this single-celled organism loves to bait our empathy from time to time and pulls the rug out from under us to gain some personal benefits. The oldest episode that uses this trick is none other than FUN itself. It starts off almost wholesome because SpongeBob feels bad for Plankton after another failed steal and decides, you know what, maybe the solution is friendship.
I bet if he had just one friend, he wouldn't be such a meanie.
So SpongeBob asks Plankton out to have some fun, even though Plankton clearly is not sure about the idea. But Plankton agrees after all and goes immediately to dunk on him because Karen points out SpongeBob is the easiest backdoor into the Krusty Krab. So we spend most of the episode watching SpongeBob try to teach Plankton what fun is, while Plankton keeps accidentally revealing that his idea of fun is basically watching the world burn. And then, annoyingly, it starts working. Plankton actually starts singing along, starts enjoying himself, and even passes Mr. Krabs' Krabby Patty temptation test like he's in rehab. That's the trick. The episode gets you to believe he might actually be changing. Then, the movie theater scene happens, and Krabs pulls the most petty public intervention imaginable.
Reach into his pocket now and take what he's got.
Everyone reach into your friend's pocket. SpongeBob does, and finds a betrayal. In just a few seconds, the whole thing recontextualizes. Plankton was only learning pickpocketing with extra steps. He admits it, runs off with the patty, and that's the episode reminding you, yeah, don't get too comfortable. Verdict-wise, we're on Plankton's side until the exact moment we realize SpongeBob was never his friend. He was his delivery app. But as wholesome as the whole FUN song is, the episode New Leaf is the most classic Plankton redemption bait setup. One day, he waves a white flag, tells Krabs he's done chasing the formula, and converts the chum bucket into a souvenir shop. And Krabs does not believe a single molecule of it. He tries to bait Plankton into sort of revealing his mask. He fails, obviously, then storms into the shop and starts destroying Plankton's inventory like he's performing an exorcism. The middle arc of New Leaf is so convincing that it turns into his friendship made-up arc with Krabs. I mean, how could you not after watching this scene? Krabs apologizes almost immediately. They hang out to make up, they have a good day at the festival, and Krabs even offers the formula to end the rivalry. But Plankton refuses at first because we're so convinced he's a different man now. The episode basically lulls you into thinking you're watching the rarest SpongeBob event, character growth. Then, the credits fake you out. Plankton pops back up with the gotcha, reveals the whole shop was a long con to get the formula, and immediately learns Krabs baited him right back with a fake note instead of the real formula. And then it twists the knife again by going, also, Krabs is still him, because it was all part of Krabs' plan too. The recipe he gives is a total fake out. I still remember how furious I was back when I watched this for the first time. I thought we were actually going to get into a new arc for good. Turns out, being on Plankton's side is a pretty wild ride. I guess that sums up the Plankton experience. You blink, you sympathize, you regret it, and somehow you still do it again the next episode. But honestly, I think that's why he works so well as a character. I still think Plankton is one of the best characters if only his whole persona wasn't about stealing the Krabby Patty. Well, sadly, he can never let go of the grudge. And speaking of experience, I think we all had the experience of watching SpongeBob for a long time, right? Enough to have a hot take about our favorite show. But did you know that it also means it got to say something about you as a fan? I've got another video that's basically a personality test disguised as a SpongeBob list. What your favorite SpongeBob character says about you. Quick reminder before you go, if you want the new player bonuses in Raid Shadow Legends, use my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. You'll get Karato Foxhunter and Tagoar, plus you can redeem one of the legendary promo codes. I know you want to check both of them. You won't regret it, I guarantee you. I'll see you on the next dive.